this is my takeaway. I'm going to run it by you guys, and I want you guys to tell me why I'm wrong or if I'm wrong. Because there wasn't much substance at this thing, but there was a moment when Greg Papa asked John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan if this roster is better than the one that lost in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Good question, Greg. And it's interesting because when it happened, I was thinking, let's see if Kyle and John say the same thing. Because this offseason, they've been kind of correcting each other politely here and there. So John goes first, as always. And John was a leader as a player. Gave a very motivational, yeah, I believe we are better, and we're going to prove it. And then Kyle goes, and I'm like, here comes the yeah, but. Here comes the yeah, but. Here comes the yeah, but. And he goes, yeah, I think we have a chance. But, and then he goes in all the reasons why they may not. Like, we got a bunch of young players who haven't proven it, and they got to step up, and And he just gives a laundry list of reasons to just curb your enthusiasm. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you for being you. My question to you is he hedging his bets talking like that? I mean, this really is year 5 of his administration, if we're going to call it that. Jack, why don't you start?
Yeah, I don't know if he's necessarily hedging his bets. I think his answer was pretty spot on when you really look at the roster. They have made some adjustments on paper. You could say they're better than 2019, but that's based off of guys that we haven't actually seen on the field being able to play at a high level. Is Aaron Banks really going to be an upgrade at right guard? We're not quite sure yet. We haven't seen him on the field. What's Trey Lance going to do? Is Trey Lance going to be able to come on and take the quarterback job and be that guy? We don't know that yet. Ambry Thomas, Trey Sermon, all those guys. So where he's coming from there, I totally agree with Kyle Shanahan in that I don't think we can say right now that this roster is better than 2019. I think it's better than 2020, but I don't think we can say it's better than that 2019 roster. Also, Samson Ebukam, we think he's going to be able to do everything that D4 did, but we're not sure yet. And we also don't know really what Nick Bosa is going to bring coming off of that knee injury. So there's a lot of questions around this team that make Kyle Shanahan's answer make more sense to me. And my biggest takeaway from that, if it's okay to go on, is I think it shows a difference in their status with the organization between John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. Mm-hmm. I think if you look at John Lynch, they have Adam Peters in place to replace him if they decide to move on from him if this season goes horribly wrong. Mm-hmm. And I don't think you can say the same thing with Kyle Shanahan. They're not going to move on from him, if this is a bad season, because anybody will pick him up. I just don't see that happening. But I think that kind of plays into both of their answers as well. They're hedging their bets for themselves.
Yes. Suneil.
Yeah.
Nice beard.
Thanks, man.
And polo.
I'm trying to grow it out,
But I'm just trying to butter up Suneil so he doesn't go too hard at me. Look great, man. Look great.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And I completely disagree with both of you guys on this take. All right. So I think that this was just their positions. John Lynch is the GM. He drafts the players, brings the players in, and then Kyle Shanahan is the coach. He develops the players. He makes the final roster decisions as far as who's a starter, who's on the bench, who gets cut. So when you are in John Lynch's position, you're going to be happy. This is all you could do. You could only bring in the players, and you believe you brought in the best players to make the best roster that's going to compete at the highest level. That's all you can do. Now, Kyle Shanahan can't sit here and be like, I have the best team I've ever had. Because if he said that, then it makes these players kind of feel like they've already arrived or they've already made it. As a coach, you constantly have to be dangling that carrot to these players to be like, you know what, we have a chance, but I still need to make sure these guys work hard. So these guys need to do better. These guys need to do better. These guys need to do better, and so on and so forth, because that's the position a coach plays. Now, I know a lot of people are looking in depth, and by a lot of people, I mean the two people on top of me right here this way, but are saying that, this is showing that John Lynch is not secure in his position and all this kind of stuff because he answered a question saying that I'm confident that I brought in the right people. What is he supposed to say? You know what? We didn't do as good as we did in 2019, so I'm not too excited about this team. No, he's going to be confident in the 49er faithful when he's talking to the fans to get them hyped up for the season. Everything was positive. Nobody's talking about the negatives of the team, the downsides of the team. I don't think John Lynch, or he might, I don't know if he is in the hot seat, but I don't think that this statement should make us feel like he feels like he's in the hot seat. Because if anything, if he was in the hot seat, he wouldn't be trading 3 first-round draft picks to make a move for the quarterback that they did. he wouldn't be doing those type of home run swings if he felt like he didn't have the confidence that he's going to be back next season, the season after that. And that's what I think it is. I think they're just playing out their contract. I don't think there's any John Lynch is doing a terrible job. I haven't heard that, nor do I feel he feels that way either.
So I'm gonna be somewhere in the middle on this. I just want to agree on or disagree on Suneil's last point, which was that I don't know. Actually, if you're a GM who's about to get fired, why wouldn't you throw all your first round picks at trading up for a quarterback? We saw what the Bears did a few years ago. We saw what the Rams did a few years ago with Goff. I mean, there are situations where front offices will put everything into that next quarterback. So I'll push back on that. But where I will fall on this issue is that I think, Kyle and John are just both doing their job, right? With John, the way you see him communicating, the way you see him talking, he's talking this roster up right now. He's talking about their depth. He's talking about all these kinds of things that he felt he added in the offseason. But then when you listen to Kyle's answer, you can tell how realistic Kyle is in understanding the situation that the team is in now. And a lot of people hung on to that last statement you were talking about, Grant, and you even wrote about it yourself, that whole last question. But what I kind of hung on to from all that interview was what Kyle said right before. I think about a minute before that answer was that he was talking about last season, right? And how by the end of the season, they were dealing with Arizona. They weren't even in their own practice facilities. And they realized that the cap was going to be shrinking due to COVID and that the window they thought they had was closing faster than they anticipated. So when I heard that to me told me that Kyle is more realistic about the outlook of this team and that they're not just 1 or 2 moves away from a Super Bowl, that they need to do more than just fixing a spot here or filling a hole there in order to get back to that 2019 team. The way Kyle was talking about it to me was realistic and understanding that you have to improve your team and you have to get better if you actually want to get to that end goal. So I think a lot of people were taking away that power struggle between the two. But when Kyle specifically said it, and if you go to that video, it's at the 17-minute mark, you can look it up. Kyle specifically says he thought the window they had shrunk a little bit when he knew the cap was going to be shrinking over the offseason. So when I hear that, I get really excited because it tells me that Kyle he's a realist right now. He's not just saying we need to go back and do what we did in 2019 again and just replace all those spots. He understands the problems with that team. And that's kind of the main takeaway I had from that entire thing.
Okay, so I hear you guys. You guys really respect Kyle Shanahan, and I respect him too. I respect your respect of Kyle Shanahan. There's a lot of respect going around right now, and I really admire how Niner fans are able to see his perspective and like it. Here's what I see, all right? And I'm not an anti-Kyle Shanahan guy. Here's what I felt like John Lynch struck the right tone. The question is this team better than the team 2 years ago? The answer is that's the expectation. End of story. That's the expectation. We're going to work our butts off to prove it. That's the answer. Of course the team's supposed to be better than it was 2 years ago. You've been building. What have you been doing? Of course that's the expectation. Lynch said it. And then Kyle comes in with the yeah buts. And he gives you all the reasons why maybe not. And I just feel like while he may be right, he's usually right. He's very smart. He's supposed to be motivational. And I don't find what he said to be motivational or inspirational. He gave you all the reasons why, maybe they might not win this year. And he could be right. But, dude, it's year 5 of your regime. You should be building something. I mean, you originally had a 6-year contract. The plan was a 6-year plan. And you're saying, well, we may or may not win this year. Or at least that's the tone. So all I'm saying is it felt like a hedge to me. It didn't say we're definitely going to win this year. It's like if X, Y, and Z goes our way, we could win. And I feel like that's just not leadership. All you say is that's the expectation. We're going to work to prove it. End of freaking story. You didn't have Jim Harbaugh being like, well, a few things about our team. We got some young guys. It just say yes. End of story. So anyway, I don't want to start an argument with you guys because you guys were much more eloquent than I was. I just wanted to express my feelings. This is how I feel. And I'm not Kyle Shanahan's player. So maybe his players were all extremely motivated by his yeah, but speech. But I feel like they kind of take his tone like, hey, man, if Kyle doesn't necessarily think we got it this year, then we may not necessarily got it this year because Kyle's a genius and he wouldn't BS us. So that's all I'm saying. That's how I feel. But Kyle, there's always today to become the motivational leader of this. There's always the next day, man. And all right.
Can I say one thing?
Go ahead.
One thing. So this state of the franchise.
You're always going to get the last word, huh?
Let me just say, I'm not going to go that hard.
Okay,
I'm just saying we got to pay attention to who the audience is.
True.
This audience isn't for the team. This isn't what he's saying in the locker room. This is what he's saying to guys like us so we could speak about it. This is what he's saying to the fans, so on and so forth. It's not how he is behind the scenes to his players. If there's any players that are looking at this and being like, man,
were you inspired? Were you inspired?
I thought this was phony and a joke. This whole thing about to the fans and all this kind of stuff. I didn't take anything away from it.
The main takeaway from this is that you can give the 49ers about $200 for a red throwback Niners jersey. Give them more money. They don't have enough. All right.
That's what it was for. Selling jerseys.
Hey, gotta love Jed York really does a good job printing money. He really does. You can't knock him for that.